I'll look into that. All right, you guys ready? So okay, I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, go. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right.
Also, we gotta get you a softer keyboard, man. Holy crap. You're so loud with that.
What? Wait, could you hear my typing?
Oh yeah.
Dude, it's like
Clicking?
click.
Oh, sorry.
I was just teasing.
Welcome to the Good Games Podcast. My name is James.
I'm Leo.
And I'm Matthew.
Oh, Matthew. Hey, what's going on?
Oh, you can call me Matt. Matt's
Justin,
good too.
you sound weird.
Yeah, Justin sounds weird today. No, Matt is coming in to talk about Tales of Vesperia, which is our main topic today. Now, Matt, you are somewhat of a JRPG or just RPG in general enthusiast. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just enjoy JRPG a lot. It's one of the good RPGs that I found myself interested in a lot, especially the older classic JRPGs. I haven't really gone back further beyond PS1, but there's something about it that I enjoy, especially when there's translation from Japanese to English. Sometimes there's some weird translation, or there's certain quirkiness or cringiness in it that there's something about it just feels good in my soul.
You embrace the cringy translation issues?
Yes.
That's awesome.
I love terrible translations.
Yeah.
And by the way, Matt, you were absolutely correct to not go beyond PS1. Don't look any further than PS1. There's no good JRPGs. There isn't. There just isn't.
All right.
It's kind of a classic genre, I guess. It's kind of stuck in time, in a certain
It really
era
is
of
like
gaming.
the classic like turn-based JRPG outside of maybe Dragon Quest, I think is like completely dead. Like nobody makes games like that anymore outside of maybe Dragon Quest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong? Like, is anyone else like okay? And obviously, there's a lot of like indie developers that still make games like Undertale or other RPGs like that. But I'm talking about like big studio games. Like nobody's making.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Big studio. They don't ever have the support of the big AAA publishers these days.
Yeah,
Right.
I can see them changing up a bit. So adding in tactical gameplay with the turn-based. For example, Valkyria Chronicles. It's turn-based, but it gives you a little tactical in there. But other than that, the old school just standing there and taking your turn.
That time has passed.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so specifically we're talking about Tales of Vesperia, though, and I have a lot of questions. And as the resident JRPG and, I would say, Tales specifically expert, Matt, I feel like you can answer a lot of these questions for me.
I'll try my best. I don't know if I'll say expert because I played less than half of the Tales games out there.
Oh, less than half is way more than
Wow.
most people.
I thought you were an expert. Less than half. Wow.
Oh man.
Also, I realized that Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler, those are exactly what I was describing. Big budget turn-based RPG. I just now remembered that those exist.
Yeah, but those weren't big. I was thinking of those too, but to me, those weren't big budget things, right?
Okay,
I mean, they were
fair enough.
I guess not when you compare them to like what they were back in like the 90s when these games came out. Like,
True.
I don't know.
True. I was just trying to play devil's advocate for whoever's listening to us and like screaming into the void that like, what about Bravely Default?
Yeah. Well, and we did a review of Octopath Traveler, so you can refer to that.
You can probably skip that game.
Okay, so Matt.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So Tales of Vesperia. Overall, I thought it was a very good game. There's a lot of things I liked about it. But there's one thing I'm just kind of curious about. Is there any continuity between the various Tales games? Like Final Fantasy, each game is sort of its own thing, but there are some references to like items or summons that all kind of have like the same name. Magic, usually have the same name, like Fire, Fyra, Fyraga, or whatever. Is Tales kind of similar or no?
Yeah, Tails is exactly like that. The items, for example, gel. Gel is their potions and your elixirs and
Gotcha.
ether. So it's pretty much like Final Fantasy. There are some games that are continuity, but those are specific to that Tales name. So Tales of Xillia and Xillia 2 are stories together, but usually very little crossovers. There are some games that have Tales crossovers, but standalone games they are.
Well, same with
by
Final Fantasy,
themselves.
right? There's like a handful that are technically sequels, but for the most part, there's no connection between them all. I guess from in a nutshell, how would you explain Tales of Vesperia to someone who's never played before? Like a one paragraph summary.
Most of the games seem to have so Final Fantasy has their own formula, and Tales, I find that Tales formula is you play the protagonist that starts out in a very small city, town, village, whatever, and you end up pretty much going to save the world, and you come across a wide variety of color characters, where they're all very different, playstyle very different. There are games where you can actually play multiplayer with other people during battle and combat. I would say the fun part about it is the combat system, but other than that, story wise, that's the formula that they have. You start out small, come across characters, you try to resolve an issue, and slowly you just go out and you find that somehow your small issue is a small part of this wide conspiracy, grand conspiracy that you end up just saving the world.
I guess I would agree
Classic
with that.
hero's journey, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that synopsis. But having never played a Tales game prior to this, I think one time you lent me Tales of Symphonia for GameCube, right? I think. And I don't think I played any of it and then returned it. And so I'd never played a Tales game before, and I put this game on, and it was like, I felt like when you're watching a movie and there's a lot of things referenced in the movie, and you as a watcher kind of have to assume that they're going to explain things later on, like what definitions of vocabulary that's being used. And for a long time, I still don't think I fully understand like what the hell Blastia is. And I'm 15 hours into this game, and I'm like, I kind of understand what it is.
I'm with you on that one. I want to hear from the expert if Blastia actually makes sense, or if that's just a nonsense catch-all word for magic.
I think Blastia specifically is for this game.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was something that was like across all the games or not.
Yeah, I don't remember too much about this word being used in every Tales game. It might be used maybe one or two others, but I can tell you it wasn't one of those things where it's used in the Tales game that got me liking Tales game, which was Tales of Eternia or Destiny 2. It depends on which version you're talking about, but it's the PS1 US version of it.
Gotcha. But of all the, less than half Tales games we played, never heard of Blastia reference in those.
I can't remember.
So James, you know what I'm talking about then, right? I was kind of confused the different things they're referring to as Blastia.
Yeah, just in the game world, they just start throwing Blastia around a lot because they use, like, in combat, every character has a Blastia that they use to fight. So, like, the main character has a sword Blastia, I guess, but then thematically
he
uses
has the bracelet, right?
or he has the bracelet, I
Bracelet,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Estelle has like healing Blastia, I guess. But then there's also like barrier Blastia that protect the town. So then, is that like some combination of magic and machinery? I guess.
Yeah,
and
there's like technology too. There's like a random Blastia generator thing or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, that's all in the game's technology or whatever ancient technology that might have been left behind for the current generations.
I guess it was just I put the onus on the game to do a good job, like bringing on someone. And again, I understand if like you want to throw out some vocabulary as like a hook, like we're gonna explain to you what this is soon, but just just go with it for now. But they, like 10 hours later, and it's like I still haven't had a clear definition. Really, I'm just learning from context, and that was just kind of one of my small things. Like as I played the game, I was like, it really, it's like. Part of that too might just be translation stuff. Like I don't know. Other than that, I am enjoying my playthrough. I am probably nowhere near done. Almost 15 hours into this game, but
yeah, I'll say the thing about not just Tales, but I think a lot JRPG, which I probably am not as curious or as questioning as you've brought up, is that I just take it and accept it and go, all right, this is this, and let's go on with it. Maybe later on I'll learn about it. If not, I just accept it as fact. So I don't really question some of those things. I don't do much research into trying to find out what that is. So I think with that, that's probably why I enjoy a lot more JRPGs, because I don't, regardless of whether it's confusing term or not, I just go, all right, that's what it is. Let's just go with that.
Just roll with it, yeah.
It's like the first time I played Final Fantasy VII and Materia. I was like, what is this? And I was like, how do I use this in a weapon? And they did a good job in explaining it, but like most of when I first played through, I actually didn't play and read any of the tip. So I just skipped all that, never read anything, and
oh really?
Yeah, I did not have materials in my weapons for the longest time. So
oh wow,
it's become one of those things where I'll read everything and try to go, okay, this is what I need to do, and figure it out and just accept it, rather than I don't know what this is, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison, because Materia and Blastia are just kind of the same thing. Like, it's some magic nonsense that makes people fight good. Don't worry about it.
Well, no, but I mean, I can do that. Like, I can play a game and they're just like, oh, yeah, you have a Blastia equipped, so you can do this. Like, I'm cool with that. But then it was just like the random cutscenes were like, oh, don't hurt that Blastia. And I was like, wait, what? I was just confused. I was like, what are you talking about, though? Like... and then I realized, oh, you're talking about this, like, this, piece of machinery or something, and then one character starts like, she's like talking about math and Blastia, and I was just like, what?
Oh, you're talking about Rita?
Yeah, that annoying character.
The magic genius.
Yeah.
I made it, I think maybe 20, 25 hours into the game. I don't know how long this game is or how far of the way through I am. Well, actually, Matt, you know how far I am through the game. How am I, like halfway, a little more than halfway, or what?
You're about halfway. I'm a little past halfway. The game's about on average 41 to 45 hours.
Okay. And you've finished this game though previously, right?
No, I actually have not finished it. That's why I'm replaying it. But I've gone pretty far, but I wasn't gonna touch about like the ending or any story anyway.
I don't think anyone's actually finished this game in the history
ever in the history of playing this game.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to talk about what the story is of this game because for the first half of the game, it's all kind of non sequiturs. Like
episodic.
There's a
like
loose.
episodes.
Yeah, there's like it's each little story segment is like a little vignette with like one character and one problem. Yeah, I was busting out the big vocabulary words.
Yeah.
With like, oh my god, you guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
I just knocked my mic off the table. Okay. You guys can hear me, right? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry. You guys could hear me, but I couldn't hear you. Okay. I think we're good now. We're fine.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, welcome back to the Good Games Podcast. My name is James. No. What was I saying?
Something about vignettes.
Story about story, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just little vignettes of this character and one problem and how they tackle this one problem or whatever. But like so far, everything has kind of been a non sequitur. The only there's a couple of returning villains that keep showing up. Like the Zagi guy keeps showing up, and there's a guy who is riding a dragon who keeps showing up, and I'm sure that's one of the main villains that gets introduced later or something. I don't know. But so far...
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay. I was going to say, so far the story's been a non sequitur, so it's really hard to talk about the story because, I mean, it's just like lots of little vignettes. Well, the thing I do want to touch on, though, are the characters.
Yes.
I found it hard... because this game is really expecting you to be invested in these characters. There is a lot of cutscenes and dialogue and back and forth with the characters. And if you are like me and I just bounced off of all of these characters. I don't give a crap about Yuri. I don't care about Estelle. I don't I just none of these characters do anything for me. So it was hard to get invested in what was happening to any of these people. Did you guys have a similar experience or just me?
I'll let Leo answer that first.
Yeah. Well, first to your point about the story, I do agree that it seems like a whole lot of build up, and I guess during that time they're trying to develop the characters a little bit to gain that interest from the player. But I found them, sometimes to be a little like when you call it non sequitur or brought up the the dragon rider cracks me up every time he shows up because it's just out of nowhere. Oh, Dragon Rider, and everyone's like, "Oh, there he is again. We'll see you next time, Dragon Rider." It was just kind of silly to me, but it kind of reminds me of an anime, and the game is very much has a very anime feel, the animations and the art style, and in an anime series. You tend to have a bunch of episodes that are almost siloed in their importance over this overall kind of story, and there might be one small nugget that there's a plot brewing that you'll learn about later, and typically anime, for some traditional Western viewers, they tend to go on for a little too long, or something like the whole series is. You have to get through all of it to really appreciate it. And I think this game is kind of in the same light. It's the first 30 hours is, not a whole lot of movement in the story, but I don't know. They did it in a cool way, I guess. The characters are boring, but I like how they go out of their way to show you the conversations between the characters, with the little... They have little interactions where you hit the little button and you just see them talk about things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So funny you mentioned anime because they actually have an anime of Tales of Vesperia.
Okay.
I have actually seen that anime.
Okay. So my whole thing with this game is, if I could, I like the game, right? I'm not saying the game is bad, but given the amount of time I want to invest in games and stuff like that, just how, for me, I would just watch an anime version of this game 100%. You just put this game into an anime for me, I'll invest more into just watching it than playing it.
Okay.
Well, the anime is a prequel, right, Matt?
Yeah, it's a prequel.
Oh, okay.
It talks about Yuri in the army, in the knights, and him going through that. But back to the game though, Tales games tend to be like that. So if you're not really invested in the characters to begin with, it's kind of tough. You have to find a game where you actually can get invested into the character. What I enjoy about this game, which I thought was very unique back when I played the PS1 version, was that the interaction, the cutscenes where you hear them back and forth, and just the little quips that they have with each other. That's what really like tied me to the game. So Tales have become for me, a mainstay JRPG, and I go to this game to look for that. So that's my personal reason to play this game. Is I enjoy the characters, I enjoy their quips back and forth, I enjoy them making fun of each other. It's the little enjoyment I get in game that like other serious games don't have. So to me, that's something that I look for. And then going to the story, first half of the story, it's all about just Yuri trying to get his Aqua Blastia back.
Right.
It's just that's it. Like that's the first half of the story, and then the second half it gets the bigger part, and that's how a lot of the game seems to be on Tales. Like I mentioned, going from small to this world saving thing. It's like the first half is your own personal mission of the protagonist, whoever you play, and then the second half is after you feel like you achieve that, or you find out that there's a roadblock to your mission, then it opens up.
Well, it seems like they could just shorten it significantly. You know?
Probably could, but I think because they have so many characters. Tales do have a lot of characters.
There is a lot of
in
characters.
The game. So
that is true.
They put the first half of it is really to introduce every single character into your party that you can use, and second half is when the characters come and go, or you can swap them out. But that's really the main thing. I mean, I find Final Fantasy is almost like that too, especially 7. I'm not sure about 8 because I haven't really played that much of 8. 9 is also the same way, where I feel like you get some of the characters a lot later, and some of the characters 9 is my favorite Final Fantasy, and I couldn't like connect with some of the characters because I felt like they came so much later that I was already invested in the characters beforehand.
Yeah.
It's the same with Tales as well. There's just some characters that they come a lot later, and it's just like they're cool characters and I want to connect better to them, but I don't have that connection.
I actually felt the opposite. Like I'm more with James, where like early on I wasn't invested in like the main character much at all, but when they started introducing like Flynn, when you actually got to see what his character was all about, I was like, oh, that's an interesting character to me, because like he's kind of like the guy who's purely looking at like the law. He's lawfully good.
Yeah,
where he's
right.
it's almost to a fault, you know.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of interesting, but you know, you don't really see him till later on, and I think it's just how the game is. Like, I think this game is so long that to expect you not to see a character you like for the first 10 hours of the game is like, it's just like normal, you know, because
I think so, because it's the same with a lot of other Tales games. It's the same with a lot of other JRPG games that I've played, and I think that's the one thing that JRPG do to a fault. Some of the games is that there's so many characters that they want to introduce, and whether or not they're in your party, that sometimes you really don't connect with the protagonist or the main character until a secondary or tertiary character comes in, and you go, oh, this is my character, but it could be too late, or you could already have stopped playing the game by then.
C cross comma chrono. That game has way too many characters. Speaking of the Chrono games, though, I think you were saying how like the game is really lighthearted and the characters joke with each other a lot. And yeah, a lot of like the more serious like JRPG, you don't really get those kind of interactions. The only other game I could think of was Chrono Trigger, where it's overall the story kind of has a lighthearted feel. I mean, there are some serious and somber parts in Chrono Trigger, and in Tales of Vesperia as well. But like, there's a lot of just, hey, we're having a good time. This is fun.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also feel like the music in that game makes a big difference in the feeling of it too.
Mm-hmm. In Vesperia, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Did you guys find the level design? Okay, so there are. I mean, it's a JRPG, so you have your world map, and then you have your towns, and then you have some encounters, but then there's also some lengthier dungeons. I found the level design in the dungeons to be like really weird. Like there was a lot of times where I didn't know where the game wanted me to go. And, like, there was a couple times where it was just like, oh, you just turn around and walk back the way you came, and, like, that was the correct way to go. But, like, there was no signposting or, like, any indication of where to go sometimes. I found the level design odd.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I wouldn't say odd so much as, I guess, not obvious, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Like, There was a time, actually more recently, towards my last bit of playthrough, where I accidentally skipped I accidentally skipped a conversation, and the conversation was about, like, okay, so it takes place in that area that's like an earthquake happens, and like this whole city is like kind of like ruins, and you find a hidden door and you go down into down a ladder. And then there's like a switch there or something, like a generator switch or something that opens something else. I skipped that conversation where they're like, hey, I guess they must have said, try using your bracelet to activate this. So I skipped that. And then I was like, well, there's nowhere else to go. I thought there would be like an underground tunnel or something. And there's nothing in this room. So I left the room. And then there's nothing else to do in the whole kind of dungeon of the whole like area. And I eventually figured out I had to go all the way back to that room and activate the thing. But there was like no indicator, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's something you're gonna find. It was hard for me because this is the first time I played this, and this game is like 15 years old.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, to be fair,
we're getting close to 15 years old, maybe something like that. I think, and that's something a lot of modern games do, where it's just like you have a map or a whatever, and there's just like a giant flashing like go here, go here,
useful.
Like
yeah.
I don't like it is and it isn't. I think sometimes that breaks your immersion a little bit when there's like just, I don't know, a thing that's telling you, like, here's how to progress the main story. Like, whereas, like, if you're just exploring the world, you can do things a lot more organically. But, yeah, I had the same experience where, like, in addition to, because the other thing I was describing was just, like, the level design is wacky. But, like, also I had the same problem as you in that, like, sometimes, like, I would take a couple days break from the game, and then I'd come back and I'd be like, what was I doing? Like, what's happening in the story? Like, where am I supposed to go?
That's more my problem there, yeah.
And in order to find that information, it was, like, buried in a menu. There was, like, a journal, and you had to, like, go to the, like, last page of the journal, and then, like, read the journal. And it was like, oh, yeah, that's right. We're supposed to go to the castle or whatever we're doing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think the game is very grandiose. It does have a sense of like a, kind of a big wide world for what it is, and so I think it's easy to forget and remember like what you're supposed to be doing next.
I think that plays into quite a few Tales games. A lot of the games that I played in the past, I was actually playing the latest Tales of Vesperia before. You guys invited me to talk about this, and I got the Tales of Vesperia. Did I say Vesperia before?
Yeah,
you said Berseria, I think.
Tales of Vesperia.
All right, so the latest one is Tales of Berseria. Is B instead of V. So,
it sounds exactly the same.
Accent. I'll use my accent as an excuse.
Damn it, Matt! Speak English, man.
I don't think it's your accent. I think the names are just dumb and sound very close.
They do it on purpose, right? Everything is
Yeah.
E at the end.
Vesperia, Braceria, sounds the
enough.
same.
Close enough. But I think even for this game, Vesperia, it was back created for the Xbox 360 originally. And the latest Tales games, there are some parts where the level design, the quirkiness in what you need to do or should do being hidden in the conversation, or the small text bubble right after a cutscene that you may skip because you just like press X through the cutscene. Yeah, those things are very much in this game that we're talking about, Tales of Vesperia. There are a few times where I have skipped scenes. I was like, what am I supposed to do? And the only reason I know what to do is because I've played it before. But also talking about the level design, I think this is a really old school. It's a linear level design, but they create forks that are unnecessary, and they just makes it cumbersome for you. And it's just
that's a great.
It just makes it. Yeah, it makes it seem like the level is larger or longer than it needs to be, whereas like you really don't need that kind of thing. And I think that's a old way of level design for the game. But Tales games are like that. There are some Tales, even Tales of Berseria that is on the PS4 that I'm playing, has that where it's almost like a fake exploration. Hey, you can explore this as a dead end, but there might be something that you could get, or there might not be something that you can get. It's just Tales. That's the only excuse, or that's the only reason I can say is Tales games that I've played seems to be like that.
I'm actually curious about this, James, because I know you play a lot of fighting games. So
I do.
Curious.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think about the combat in Tales of Vesperia?
I liked it. I did not think I was going to like it, and then I was like, okay, wait a minute. Like, there's like animation canceling. Like, I just got interrupted out of an attack. Like, okay, there's like combos and you can chain stuff. Like, what the hell? Like, they made a fighting game into an RPG. Yeah. Like, what's going on here? Yeah. I really latched on to some of that stuff. I was trying to figure out, like, ooh, how do I do like max combos? Like,
there's like juggling.
And I really, yeah, definitely. And I was trying to figure out, like, because there's like an ability that prevents staggering, and I was like, ooh, that's like super. Like, my fighting game knowledge is telling me that that's very good to not get staggered or whatever. So I was, I really enjoyed messing around with the abilities, because you have like it. This touch point means nothing if you guys haven't played Final Fantasy IX, but the comparison I was going to make is that abilities are tied to weapons. Yeah. So you might find a new weapon that might have worse statistics, but it has an ability that you don't have yet. And it might be, could be an ability that's really useful in battle. So you might equip that weapon and use that weapon enough for your character to gain the experience to learn the ability, just for the ability. And I really enjoyed like that, like experimenting with the different abilities and party synergies and like all that nonsense. That is pretty much what was carrying me through the rest of the game. Like,
yeah. Okay. The fact that you said that is interesting, because I found myself spending extra, like, superfluous amounts of hours just fighting things, like because like
it's fun.
It's fun. Wasting hours just fighting random shit.
Yeah, the battle system's good. The battle system's very good.
Although I will say it is very annoying when you fight a boss. Bosses are very different from your typical like monsters, and it just felt like the difficulty just skyrocketed. And I could, like, that stupid Zagi guy. Oh my god, I had to fight him like 3 times every time.
Yeah. Two things on that. First, bosses, especially like the thing I didn't like about the battle system is there are certain times where it just kind of devolves into chaos, because like you have 3 other party members that are on your screen in addition to the character you're controlling, and then there's like, a certain number of other enemies. There could be, 4 or 5 enemies and everyone's doing something at the same time, or maybe you're all clustered around one giant boss and everyone's just doing abilities all at once. Later in the middle of the game, a lot of my fights just kind of devolved into chaos because like everyone was just using abilities all at once, and it kind of became hard to read, and I was like, I don't even know what's going on right now. Like everyone's just doing crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like that would be my only complaint about the battle system. The other thing that you mentioned, God, what was the other thing I wanted to talk about?
The boss fights?
Oh yes, boss fights being hard.
Yes.
Yeah, I found there was one boss fight later in the game that is optional, and the game's like, hey, maybe you should run away from, like, the game clearly is tutorializing the escape system, because the game's like, hey, maybe the best thing to do is to run from this combat, and then it puts you in combat against this boss, and me being a masochist, I was like, nah, I'm gonna beat this boss. And I died to the boss, of course. But then I realized that there was, like, no checkpoints or anything, so I lost an hour of progress. I was just like, oh fuck that.
Dude, the
like,
save system is brutal in this game. Like,
totally
I can't
brutal.
tell you,
old school and brutal.
Yes, there are so many times where I walked into a room and I was like, shit, I knew I should have backtracked to the most recent save point, and it was like a good ways back, but I just had a feeling that a boss fight was coming up next. And then like once you're in that boss fight, like you better not die, because otherwise you're losing your last half hour of progress. Yeah,
that above anything else made me miss like modern game design, because like modern game design is like, you died to the boss, okay, try again. Like this game is like, you died to the boss, all right, go back an hour, and you're like, no.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal.
Yeah,
but that's
very unforgiving.
That's just how games used to be, right?
Yeah.
I agree. The battle system is definitely the one thing that I will say that I enjoyed from the very get-go. As far as JRPG goes, even in PS1, it had this kind of game system, battle system where it's 2D sprites, but you're free running back and forth, attacking, and then you can run away from the enemy. So it wasn't a static like Final Fantasy 7 or 9 kind of battle, and that was back in the PS1 games. So that was the one thing that it was very different from all other games. For the battle though, I do have a question for you guys. Do you guys play it on manual, semi-auto, or auto as far as the battle controls go? Or did you know you could change that?
Yeah, the only difference I found was, okay, so I was playing on semi-auto, and the only difference between semi-auto and manual is, I think if you just mash the attack button and you're not in range of an enemy, the game will start walking your character near an enemy, close to the nearest enemy, and then start attacking, right? I think that's the only difference between semi-auto and manual. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, no, you're right. It takes you to the enemy that you have targeted, so you can change target.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not the closest. But yeah, that's the only difference.
How did you play the game, Matt?
I've always played it on semi-auto. I've tried manual before, and I've played manual a lot of times, but I didn't like. I enjoyed the auto pathing. There's something about the auto pathing that's just like less worried for me, because I have to use my arrow keys for my abilities anyway. So leave that alone. Let me choose the ability that I want to mash in, and then run for me, and that works the best for me. I've always played Tales like that. I always go back to manual and try it in case they were different, but they've never changed the system, and I just liked how it works, so I didn't really change it.
I will say though that I often held the Z trigger. Free run.
Yeah.
Yes. You'll need that, especially like bosses, or when there's a lot of people you want to attack. You want to run around and attack what's outside rather than just mashing.
Because if you get stuck in the middle of a bunch of dudes, like you're never getting out of. Like you're just gonna be stuck, and they're just hitting you, like alternating, and you die.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it though. That like, I think that's part of the reason. Like you said, James, that just that combat system itself. Like, I just sat there mashing B and hearing Azure, like 50 million times for hours. I'm all about that kind of free fighting. Like I really like Kingdom Hearts. It kind of reminded me of Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I'm a sucker for that kind of combat. So.
Yeah, the combat system's really fun. I want that combat system, but with a cast of characters I care about and a story that I don't know.
Well, there you go. That's
about.
Final Fantasy VII Remake right there.
I hope. I really hope so.
All right. Well,
should we self-endorse the podcast? I've heard, Matt, that this is your favorite part of the podcast.
Yeah, I've mentioned it. It's just it's so good. I sometimes enjoy the quirkiness or the randomness or the awkwardness.
Let's see if we can help James get through it.
All right, this podcast is brought to you by our patrons. You wonderful, wonderful patrons. You guys make everything happen. If you want to be one of our wonderful, wonderful patrons and help make things happen, you can support this podcast at patreon.com/goodgamescast. Actually, I don't know. Is that the real URL? I don't know. We're just Good Games Cast
no
on Patreon.
idea. Yes,
I don't know. That might not be a real URL. Just search Good Games Cast on Patreon.
Patreon.com/goodgamescast.
Yeah, that's us. All right. And then our email is goodgamescast@gmail.com. Send us fan mail, please.
You can be one of the 3 current Patreon
I was going to say. Yeah. Our fan base is growing.
Well, aren't you guys looking into having a
we are
not better, but looking to update your platform and possibly have a better way of
the hosting software we use is it's good. It gets the job done, but it costs money. And the editing software I use is very tedious, so I'm looking into we are looking into other solutions to hopefully solve both of those problems.
And those solutions may or may not allow our patrons to submit questions, like recorded questions and stuff.
Ooh.
So
I mean, you can do that anyway through
a Patreon patron.
Yeah. I mean, you can go ahead and send us recorded questions right now. goodgamescast@gmail.com.
Yes, email them. Yeah, we'll do it.
And then, but if you're a patron, we'll make it extra special somehow.
Yeah,
maybe
we'll play it.
Donate
or something.
Donate. It's a surprise. Donate to our Patreon and then submit a question and find out what the surprise is, because it's a surprise to me too.
Totally.
All right. So let's go on to our top 5 segment. So Matt, as you know, as you hopefully know, this is the segment of the podcast where we take a list of 5 things and put them in order.
That's great. Sounds
so our
fun.
topic. Well, we also constantly change how we do this, because in the past we've done them all personal. I think this one might be a group project, right? This has got to be a group project.
I think so.
Yeah.
Really?
Our topic.
I got a whole bunch of lists, but maybe because I play more JRPGs. I don't know.
Matt has a whole top 50.
Well, you're the resident JRPG expert.
Well, okay. Let's hear some of Matt's top 5 as the resident JRPG expert, and then we can construct a list off of that. By the way, our topic for this week is top 5 JRPGs not made by Square-Enix.
Yes.
Which turns out, if you do some Googling, there's not a lot of great RPGs that have not been made by Square-Enix.
Well, I got 5, but...
Oh, okay. I also have 5. don't feel particularly strongly about any of them. I'm mostly curious what Matt has on his list, and I want to see if I have anything in coincidence with him.
All right.
Go ahead, Matt. What do you got?
Oh, you want me to start? All right.
couple out.
So I just start with 5 from 5, or you want me to name all 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I might interject if I have one.
Yeah.
All right.
The same one.
All right. Well, this is personal. I also went and selected series rather than
Yeah.
the game itself, because I find that some of the series I actually enjoy a lot more as the series rather than individual game within that series. Because some of the JRPGs that I like playing, I wouldn't say they're the best game in that series, but I enjoy it because of personal reasons.
Sure.
So actually, number 5, I have this between 2, but I'll go ahead and pick Xenoblade Chronicles series.
Oh, nice.
Haha, that is also my 5.
Yeah,
Haha.
but I'll give my other one a thumbs up, which is the Disgaea series. If you like
Oh, you love that series.
strategy RPG games.
Yeah, you've told me about that
Oh,
one.
God. I totally forgot about this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. So those two. My number 4 is the Ni no Kuni series.
Oh, I forgot about that, too. God damn. That's a good one. Ah.
I can name a whole bunch from like others that I have listed but aren't in my top 5 if you want. But let's just go for top 5. My number 3. This is a series that I have not finished any of the games, but I do enjoy the games. It's the Persona series.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
that
I got
was
on my
going to be
list,
like
yeah.
an honorable mention at least. I don't know what the proper
right.
name of the whole series is. So it's like some Japanese name, right?
It's just
Well, you
Persona.
got-
I mean, if you're talking about Shin Tensei Megami.
Yeah, that
Megami,
one.
yeah.
That's what I was
Shin
talking
Megami
about.
Tensei,
That's-
and then
that-
Persona is a spin-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, Persona is a standalone, in the same universe, but they have their own series type of games. I enjoy Persona a little bit more as far as gameplay goes.
Gotcha.
The other one is you collect like Digimon and Pokemon, so if you like that better. Number 2 for me is Tales series,
Nice.
and my top series, personal favorite, which
Number 1.
also have a game that's coming out together with Tales, is the Yi series.
The what?
Ooh, I've never played any of those.
I believe it's pronounced Ys, but it's spelled Y-S.
Yeah, Wise Yees, yeah.
Oh, I've never even heard of these.
Yeah, it's action based combat.
Oh, one's coming out for Switch.
Mhm.
There is one for
Or one
Switch
came out
already.
for
Yeah.
Switch, yeah.
There's one for Switch already.
Oh.
I played that one too. It's probably another JRPG that I would say stands out from others because of its combat. But outside of that, I mean, the story is very generic. You do play the protagonist in all of them, or at least most of them. You play this one character, you travel throughout, and they are all somewhat connected as far as timeline goes, but the story are standalone stories.
Gotcha. All right. I like that list. There's definitely some good ones there.
I got
James,
2 on
what
my
do you got?
list that most of my list I had in common with Matt. Matt had some good ones I forgot, Ni no Kuni and Disgaea. But I got 2 on my list I'm going to fight for.
Okay.
I'm going to fight for one of the Mother games. Has to be on there, either Earthbound or Mother 3. I love those games. If you want some goofy nonsense JRPGs, that's Earthbound is where it's at, man.
I've never played Earthbound or any of the Mother games, but I've heard great things about them. Obviously.
So, those games are pre PS1 era,
Right, Super Nintendo. Well, one's Super Nintendo, the other one's Game Boy Advance. So I guess the Game Boy Advance was the same era as PS1, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that's the reason I never played either, is because of the consoles it came out on.
Yeah, the platforms.
Never
I have to
a
play.
Nintendo kid?
I have the Switch now. Before this, I had the Wii.
Okay.
But nothing before that.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Wii U. I was gonna say God bless you.
I had the 3DS. I had a,
There you go.
Was it Game Boy Color, and then I jumped to 3DS.
Okay.
Yeah.
You missed out on some weird, wacky RPGs in Earthbound and Mother 3. I like those games a lot. I love how outrageously silly they are. And also how, like, they can be also very, like, touching and heartwarming while simultaneously just being outrageously goofy. The one knock I do have against those games is they're incredibly grindy. So, buckle up for some grinding if you're going to play either of those.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if I get a chance, I believe Earthbound was one of the games where I had it on the list to try, but I couldn't find one that I could like get it on the system that I have.
They look super goofy from what I've seen. Like
they are
all the enemies and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the enemies are my favorite. The enemies are so outrageously stupid.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have a list of a short list here of 5 that I'd like to.
Yeah. What you got?
What you got? Okay. Number 5, I went ahead and put Tales series just because.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Even after just playing this one, it might take me a year to finish it, but I actually, just like an anime, I do think I will enjoy it enough to just like play through it at a casual pace and eventually finish Tales of Vesperia. So yeah, I'd like to check out some of the other ones too. Number 4, I actually put Xenosaga, which is a different collection of Xeno games.
I never
but
played
I think
Xenosaga.
it's made by the same people.
No, it's Xenos.
Yeah, wait a minute. Did you cheat? Hang on, Xenosaga.
Xenosaga is a PS2 game, PS2 series.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Namco Bandai. Okay, never mind. I thought that was still Square.
No, it's not Square. Get out of here.
Well, the weird thing is Square started Xenogears.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then,
that's what it is.
Oh, I made
and
sure
then
of that.
Namco took over Xenosaga.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes, that is accurate. But I made sure to check.
Okay, yep. Xenosaga.
Yeah, Xenosaga, I mean, it's kind of a good number of, well, I would say that series and another series on my list here are like kind of more sci-fi JRPG, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the only ones I've played like that. Number 3, I put down Legend of Legaia.
Ooh.
I
haven't played that either.
That I played a lot of back on the PS1, and funny like mentioning like this game reminded me of it because of the combat and like how we were talking like you were saying how they fit a fighting game into a JRPG.
Yeah.
Legends of Legaia did it first. They had like the combos and like different directional inputs for different special attacks.
You like the game because of the martial arts based combat.
I that is a good mix for me. You do kind of hook me a little bit with that. Then the only 2 I think I'll really fight for though is number 2, Lost Odyssey for the Xbox 360.
Oh, also never played that.
Oh, dude, a fantastic game. Like I think we were talking about it recently, right, Matt?
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's
Dude.
Came out for the 360. That was like 4 or 8 discs for it.
Yeah.
Maybe not 8.
It is.
the
I've really wanted to play that. It is hard to find that game now. I think it's never been re-released, right? It's never been re-released after the 360. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. I mean, it's basically a Final Fantasy game. All right,
Yeah.
it's Nobu Uematsu is the composer. I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Sakaguchi and Mistwalker. That was his first game, right?
Maybe. Yeah, that sounds right.
I think so.
And then like it's just a big ass game. Like for the Xbox 360 to have multiple discs, like it was the only game that had that. So it's actually a very good game. So I'd fight for that one. And my number 1 that I feel very passionate about is the Dot Hack series.
Really?
It's on my list of like other games that I just it's good, I did enjoy it, but I enjoyed it because of the anime.
Yes, it had a very kind of like anime focus. It had an anime like side piece to it. It was like an anime and then the game. The gameplay, I don't know if you could say it's traditional JRPG, so that I might give you that one, I guess. But very, very interesting game. It's like, about kind of like if you've ever seen Sword Art Online, where it's like, a virtual world and the characters you're playing are like in that virtual world, like their avatars and stuff. But it's very cool game design.
Yeah, I don't know if you consider it meta, but there's some part of it where it's like you're playing a character that's playing a game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a little meta. I got a game. Have you guys ever heard of a little game called Pokemon Red and Blue version?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna fight for that one.
yeah. I guess that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, pretty good. What? That's like one of the top selling
That's
games
classic,
ever.
yeah.
What?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good old
Classic.
classic.
It's classic. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying that's cute. It's cute that you're bringing that one up. Yeah.
Why is that cute? Pokemon's huge. It's one of the biggest media franchises. I think it is the biggest media franchise ever.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Pokemon version?
I'm old school. I have to go original blue version. That's what I had.
Okay.
I do feel like I like those old ones more than the newer ones.
Yeah, mine is silver.
Oh, those are great too. The ones, gold and silver. There was something I don't know. There was something magical about those early Pokemon games that is somehow missing from the new ones.
The limited numbers of Pokemon.
Yeah. All right, so we got some lists to make here, and
there's one that isn't on my list, but I'm surprised both of you didn't bring it up because you guys talked about it in previous episodes before.
What was it?
Oh.
Fire Emblem.
Oh yeah, it was. That was on my
damn.
list, but
Oh God, how did I forget all these games?
I had to make a spot. I had to make room, so I just left it as an honorable mention. And the main reason I moved it off was because it's more of a tactics game usually. So I just thought maybe it slightly didn't fit the JRPG genre, but I did think about it. There's also one that I've never played, but I've seen a lot of people mention while researching this top 5. And I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Suikoden.
Yeah, that's really old school.
It's aight.
I did enjoy the game, but it's when it comes down to continuation of JRPG that expands for me personally, my list is games that are still being created.
Yeah, still relevant. I guess. I mean, just looking at the footage of Suikoden 2 made me go why the hell haven't I played this game? This seems right up my alley. But
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's a martial artist, right? I think. I don't know. Every JRPG has a martial artist.
Feudal Japan sort of a feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bajillion characters, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I might play Suikoden too. I'll bring it up when we start endorsing things one day.
Okay, so I bumped because I realized there's a bunch of games I forgot. I bumped off Xenoblade Chronicles and I bumped off Persona 5 in favor of Fire Emblem, Three Houses, and Ni no Kuni, the original.
Wow, look at that live edit of the top 5 people.
Yeah. So that's. But now we gotta come together as a group here and figure out what our 5 are.
All right, number 5 of all time. Okay, so I would say Lost Odyssey from my list has to be on there.
Okay.
Even if it's number 5, I think it's worthy of a top 5
The only one I'll really, really fight for, of all games, I think the only one I'm really going to fight for is Pokemon.
I think that's fair.
That's fair. I think that's...
Matt, any one you particularly feel strongly about?
As far as JRPG goes, I think also a personal enjoyment of the series, ones that have become popular or more so a mainstay of like, most people like or enjoy. I would say it's probably the Persona series. I've seen a lot more people being hyped out for the Persona series, especially the latest one that just was just like remade or
Yeah, Persona
remastered.
5 was huge.
Yeah, so I would say Persona series. I'm not gonna fight for anything else because the other ones are really more of my personal list.
Well, I definitely agree with Persona. That's kind of what I was thinking as well.
Matt, I'm gonna join you on love for Ni no Kuni though. I really liked the original Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, I will stand up for the original Ni no Kuni 1, the White Witch, more
Wrath
than
of the White
Ni no
Witch,
Kuni,
yeah.
Wrath of the White Witch more than Ni no Kuni 2. I've played both and I do like the first one a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, I will accept Ni no Kuni and also add it to my list of games I got to check out.
It's on Switch, by the way.
Yeah, I see that.
It's
Okay, so
it's
that's 4.
I was gonna say, just so you know what it is, it's a game where level 7 I think is the studio
Level
collaborated
5.
with level 5.
Yeah.
I forgot what the number is. Thank you. level 5 collaborated with Studio Ghibli, which made a lot of the animation for the Hayao Miyazaki movies, like the cartoon movies. So a lot of like the themes, the character, the story, the artwork feels very much in the vein of those movies. So if you like those movies, definitely check out Ni no Kuni.
Gotcha. And that's why the animation looks so familiar when I started looking up Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, love it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so what? That's 4 games, right? We got one more.
Yeah. So we've got Ni no Kuni, Persona series,
Lost Odyssey,
and Pokemon.
We got
And,
room for one
Legend
more.
of Legaia. There it is, Legend of Legaia. But
I haven't played it, so
I'll let you guys duke it out.
I haven't played Legend of Legaia. I don't think I feel strongly enough about anything else on my list.
well, what about Tales series? It's on a couple of our lists, and I think it's an iconic JRPG series. Nope. Okay. Well.
I was gonna say the only one I might fight for is Earthbound, but I know neither of you have played it. And to be totally truthful, I haven't finished either Earthbound or Mother 3, specifically because they get so grindy near the end. So I don't know. Like they're good, fun, silly, like goofy stories, and that's what I like about them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they make a top 5 for me. So I don't know. Maybe I'd fight for it. But if you feel strongly about Legend of Legaia, that can be our number 5.
I think I feel more strongly for it to be Tales. I was kind of trolling with Legend.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, which Tales game then?
Well, Tales of Vesperia, of course.
Vesperia? Okay. My wife is a huge Tales of Vesperia fan. She got really excited when she saw me playing this, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is like the one. This is the best in the series." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Well, I would believe it. I mean, I feel very good about this game. I can't wait to finish it. I'll probably be 40 years old by the time I do, but I'll enjoy every step of the way.
All right, so to recap, our list is number 5, Tales of Vesperia. Number 4 was Ni no Kuni. Number 3 was Pokemon. Number 2 was Persona 5. And number 1 was Lost Odyssey, right?
That's a solid list right there.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Did I have the order correct?
In my book, yeah.
Okay, all right. All right. So that's our top 5.
If there was one game I had to tell someone to play right now, they said, "I'm in the mood to play a JRPG, but I don't want it to be a Square Enix game. What should I play?" Lost Odyssey, 100% would be the one I would recommend.
Can you mail me your discs
Just-
for Lost Odyssey? I don't know where else to find. You have to eBay them or something.
Just make
That
sure
game's
you have
so
the
hard to find.
360 as well. It's
Yeah.
exclusive to 360.
Yeah, that sucks. Why hasn't that game been re-released yet? Come on.
We need to make a stand, start a petition re-released Lost Odyssey remastered on Xbox One. Come on.
It's baffling to me that hasn't been re-released. It's since the initial Xbox 360 release.
I know.
All right, cool. Yeah, the only game I had to exclude because it would be my number one no matter what. But it's not Japanese. Is Undertale? It's JRPG in everything but the J.
Yeah, sure.
All you need is translation for that, and then that's official JRPG, right?
We translate it to Japanese, and then we just translate it back poorly, and then it's a JRPG.
There you go. That's all you need.
All right. What do you guys have to endorse?
Oh, yeah. So, Matt, I don't know if you came up with anything to endorse, but this is where we talk about something that's, happening in our lives, something that we're watching or playing.
Yeah, I thought about it. I actually thought about it while showering.
Very nice.
So it's a good thought. And I do have a few things.
Matt is going to endorse Dove bar soap.
I was going to say, I'll endorse a nice hot shower.
But before I do endorsing, I do want to mention, because the latest episode, I want to bring this up, if you don't mind me taking about 2-3 minutes talking about this.
Go ahead.
The last time you all talked about Final Fantasy, I was listening to it, and one question that you asked, James, was like, why remake Final Fantasy VII? Why not other Final Fantasy?
Oh, yeah. I didn't get a good answer to that. So yeah, What do you got?
I think you answered it, but you didn't. You didn't put it into sentence. You mentioned all the other Final Fantasy games that was created off of Final Fantasy VII, right? Mm-hmm. The Final Fantasy VII world was expanded more than any other Final Fantasy game. Seven has the Vincent game, the
Dirge
movies,
of Cerberus,
Crisis Core,
Advent Children,
like all these different things. Like it's expanded because people wanted to know the story. People wanted more. They're like, what is going on? And Square Enix gave us all these other things, and that's why it's expanded. And I think because there's so much story to it, and that they have expanded it into Adventure, and I think that's why that's the game that they remade. There's no other games that they've expanded as much. Though I have done some research, and supposedly there was talk about Final Fantasy X having a 10-3, but they didn't go far enough into creating that world.
Oh. So what you're saying is we need more FF8 movies and stuff.
If you want to expand the story, then yeah.
I'm with you, Matt. I'm with you.
I want to see what an FF8 movie is, just because what the hell does that mean? Like, how do you make a movie out of that game?
I recently got the synopsis of the game by watching a speed run of Final Fantasy VIII, and I go, okay, now I know what the story is all about, because this speed run told me what the story is about. When I played it and when I tried to talk with Leo about it, I couldn't get an understanding of the story.
I was gonna say, you were there in person, right? Did you witness that in person at Games Done Quick?
Yeah. Actually, Final Fantasy VIII was one of the longer blocks, and they played overnight, so I saw the tail end of it. I was able to get there early in the morning and see that ending.
Sounds pretty fun. Yeah.
Nice. Did you get to participate in the Eyes on Me sing along?
I wasn't singing, but I witnessed it in person. It was
that's amazing. That was the best part of that speed run.
Nice.
Yeah, the ending was pretty crazy. But back to endorsement. Due to all the craziness that's going on, I am endorsing learning a new skill set, especially something digital, or something that you're not familiar with. With all the times that some people have acquired from not having to commute, like myself, I had to commute to work, and now I don't have to anymore. Work from home, so I either work a bit more longer hours, or I have a bit more extra time on my hand. I am actually planning to try to get into digital content creation by streaming a little, recording a little, and trying to get into video editing. So that's the one thing for me. And with that, side by side to that, I would say give yourself a little bit more patience than normal. Don't think that you can just pick it up and go, all right, let's learn this skill set, because I have been needing to give myself a lot of grace and patience.
Oh yeah, every millionaire Twitch streamer started from installing OBS, man.
Matt, what is your Twitch handle?
It's Axynth, AXSYNTH. I am not an entertainer by personality or character, so don't expect me to be loud, and I'm just an introvert. I'll stick with that.
I disagree.
Well, okay, wait a minute. You sound like you're selling yourself short. So is this? Yeah. So are you saying your channel is like a more like chill, relaxed, like come hang out with me and we'll chill stream? Is that sort of thing?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what I'd like to do with it. I'm streaming while I'm recording my footage because that'll give me more content to create, and really I want to grow my. I want to try create and do more video editing for gaming so that I can post it on my YouTube. Maybe get this skill, and in conjunction with that, I might as well just stream, because I might.
It's great video content. Like a lot of people
I might
stream.
I might interact with some people. If I don't, I'm not taking it as though it's like a bad thing if no one visits me for a year, or if I get 1 or 2 viewers for the next year. I'm doing it mostly for other things, but while I'm playing games, if there's anybody who's interested and in the games that I play, and we end up starting a community, I'm okay with that. But I'm not pushing that as though it's the thing that I am shooting for.
Right.
So, what kind of games do you play on your stream? I saw you playing a lot of League. Is that mainly what you play?
I'm a mainstay League of Legends player, but I'm not like a great League of Legends player. I'm pretty chill. I'm like I consider myself a casual rank. Top 20-30% players. I'm fine with that. I actually recently just got an Elgato capture, so I am going to try to stream my Switch games. And I have just bought a HDMI converter for my PS2, so I'm hoping to be able to play PS1 and PS2 games that I have, and just go back and play some of the older games and just record them. So hoping to open up my library.
That sounds like a nice chill stream with an interesting character that I would like to sit and watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
Check out Axynth on Twitch and YouTube. Is that also your YouTube channel?
I mean, I have one that's Axynth, but I haven't had any update to that channel yet. I don't know if that's the name that I've picked, but that's my in-game name for a lot of my in-game character, I guess, or accounts.
Well, it seems like the best thing to do, so you can kind of have like continuity between your Twitch and YouTube, right?
Though my Twitter is not Axynth, because that is actually already owned by an X synthesizer player.
What?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Why don't you X synthesize?
So on Twitter, I actually is Axynth GG.
GG. For Good Games podcast, clearly. Clearly. All right. Well, in listening to Matt, I have a triple endorsement. So you get one endorsement plus a bonus too. So first of all, Matt was talking about streaming. I endorse finding a nice chill stream, maybe Matt's, maybe check out Axynth, and just go to bed watching a chill stream. It's so relaxing.
Yeah.
I've been watching, I mean, he's not necessarily a chill streamer, but he's playing a chill game. I watch Vinesauce Vinny on Twitch. He's a pretty big streamer. But he's been playing Animal Crossing in the evenings, and it's just like the most mellow, relaxing thing to fall asleep to. So I endorse finding a chill stream, fall asleep to it. Follow Matt on Twitch. I am also going to endorse. Matt was talking about Final Fantasy VII, and there's a remake coming out soon. And this afternoon I was like, oh man, I haven't seen Advent Children in a long time. I'm gonna endorse. Don't fucking watch Advent Children. That movie's stupid. That movie's dumb. That movie's really dumb.
So silly.
It's like it's 90% action. Like there's no, and what little story there is total fucking nonsense. Like it's just fan service, really. Like if you're like, oh man, Cloud and Sephiroth are so badass, I just want to watch them fight for an hour and a half. Like that's what that movie is. Then
it's
go
kind
watch
of fun.
that.
It's kind of fun in that way, but
I mean, it's fun. You know, if you want to watch Cloud be a badass and also be like weirdly sad and mopey for some reason, I never understood why he's so like emo and mopey in that movie. I don't really get it. Yeah, that's Advent Children. Don't watch it. The thing I was actually gonna endorse is a movie. Instead of watching Advent Children, you should go watch a comedy horror. It's called Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
okay.
It stars no one you've ever heard of. Well, that's not true. It stars Greg Sestero, who
I know him.
Fans of The Room will know Greg Sestero is Mark from The Room.
All right.
Stars Greg Sestero, and there's a couple bit parts. The only other person you might know is Patton Oswalt has a short scene, and Andrew WK, the singer, the musician.
Yeah.
Andrew WK and Patton Oswalt also have small parts in this movie.
Amazing.
It's like a self-aware slasher film. It's like, I mean, the basic gist of the movie is a bunch of dude bros from a frat house go on like a camping trip. I mean, it's the most like boilerplate, like copy paste horror premise, you know, and then they start getting killed one by one. But it's very funny and weird. Greg Sestero is very good in that movie in that they cast him as someone who can't act, which is perfect for him. There's just a lot of weird, funny stuff in that. If you're in for something just weird and funny, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
Okay. Wow.
Can I ask if 1 and 2 are not worth watching?
I will answer that by saying 1 and 2 do not exist.
What?
This is the only. Yeah. So, okay. By the way, the premise of Dude Bro, the sort of meta premise of Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 is that it was all the copies of the movie were burned because it's cursed, and like, oh, the only copy that exists was aired on like Wisconsin public access television in the 90s, and that's the only reason we have it now, and like somebody transferred the VHS and that's the only reason we have it. So like the whole movie is shot like there's scan lines as though you're watching like an old VCR, and there's like it's like and it keeps intercutting between like 90s late night commercials as though somebody like was like stopped and rewinded a VCR. I feel like I don't know. Did you guys ever record VCRs as kids? Anyone who is like 20 and younger has anyone who's 20 and younger has no idea what I'm talking about. But like if you don't track the tape to the exact right moment, you have like gaps in your recording. Anyway, it'll make sense if you're 20 or older. That part of the movie will make sense to you. Anyway, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. There is no 1 and 2.
Wow. Okay. I also I'm going to endorse a couple of things to watch since currently everyone is in quarantine from coronavirus craziness, so we're all just watching a lot of Netflix all the time. These two things you can find. One of them you can find on Netflix. That is a show called Nailed It, which is a cooking show where normal people who can't cook are brought in for a contest for $10,000 to try to create masterful pieces of art, like baked goods, like cakes with like Donald Trump's like face on it or something, or like beautiful like lava cake cooked perfectly, or like some sort of fancy dish or whatever, right? But the people who are on the show, normally like a cooking contest show, you have like some esteemed chef from some whatever school of culinary arts. No, this is your buddy Bob from down the street who says he makes some pretty good brownies, but they're just like out of the box in the pantry. And, they have to like show off what they made, and then they compare it to like the original, and it never looks even remotely close. But somebody wins. And so it's called Nailed It, and it's a great show. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix series. That and a movie that recently became available for rent on Amazon called Knives Out. Have you guys heard of this?
Oh, I loved Knives Out. That was very good.
I have not.
I really enjoyed that movie, and I was surprised because I didn't know anything about it, and I thought Daniel Craig was
Daniel Craig
strangely
was amazing in that movie.
When I saw the trailer, I was like, Daniel Craig is in this, and then like by the end of the movie, I was like, I fucking love Daniel Craig. Oh my god,
he plays like a southern. He's got like a southern Kentucky like
very Kentucky accent.
But he does it like perfect.
He did nail it.
Perfect.
He did nail it.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is very, very good in that film.
He's like a stupid southern Sherlock Holmes. But is
that's
really
exactly
kind of a badass at the end. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah, Knives Out and nailed it.
Knives Out, nailed it. All right. We don't really know what our next show is going to be. It's probably going to be Animal Crossing, Resident Evil, Final Fantasy.
Animal Crossing for sure.
One of those.
Yeah,
Animal Crossing? All right. Yeah. Our next show is probably going to be Animal Crossing.
If you haven't played it,
stay tuned.
You should definitely play it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Fourth endorsement. If you want to just have something to relax with and just turn your brain off and just go into a trance and just lose hours and hours of time, get Animal Crossing. It's very nice to just dump time into Animal Crossing. It's just a relaxing way to spend time.
And make sure you add me as a buddy. You can email the Good Games Podcast for my Nintendo code or whatever, because I'll be playing a lot of Animal Crossing now that I don't have to play Tales of Vesperia as much as possible.
Yeah, wait, we're not Animal Crossing buddies. You gotta come to my island.
I went to the guy to fly to another island, and he's like, "You have no friends," and I was like, "Shit, what? Why doesn't it just show me my Nintendo friends? I don't understand." Yeah,
it should. We're Nintendo friends.
I know, but it wouldn't let me fly to your island. That was sad, man.
Oh, well, I have to have, my gates open. It's a whole thing. Oh. Just let me know, and I'll open my gates.
Open up your gates for my crossing, James.
Yes. Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. Animal Crossing is definitely a thing.
Yeah. I'm going to cross right into your gates.
Oh, Jesus. All right. I think that's our show. Big thanks to Matt Wong.
Yes, thanks, Matt, for coming on.
For coming on, being a JRPG expert. Thanks again. I think that's our show. So, for the Good Games Podcast, I'm James.
I'm Leo.
And I'm Matt.
We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
See ya.
Peace.
All right.
Oh, I forgot to sign off with "fuck you."
Good.
That's gonna be my thing now.
Just shout it and then cut it in.
Yeah.
I'll fix it. I'll fix it in post.
Fix it in post. You're just gonna add a "fuck you" at the end.
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah.